Good morning, everybody. Oliver Joyce here from Whiskey Barrel Studios, and it's time for another Spartacus game dev update. Number 14 this time, and it's been a month since the last one. Ridiculous. Far too long. I'm finding the further along I get into developing the game, the less time I have for making these videos. In the beginning, I thought I'd document everything and every little interesting bit and piece that I thought you guys might be interested in, but I've just run out of time, and in this stage of the game, it's so important to just put every spare hour you have into the game, and so these dev updates have become fewer and far between. But today I've got some interesting things to show you. I'm just going to run through them all as we go and see how we go. All right, everyone, let's jump straight into Unity and press on. All right, so here we are in Unity once again, and I have the scene switch component up, and that will show you that I actually have a whole bunch of new levels here. There's 12 levels in the game right now. The last one we're looking at was the battle arena from the last video, and I've done 4 new levels since then. A boss castle level with a castle and a boss fight, an aqueduct, and a mineshaft descent. We're going to go through some of those levels in a little bit, but the first thing I wanted to show you today was some of the new effects in the game, and in particular the one called bloom lighting. So if we switch that to Capua Streets, bloom lighting is a post-processing effect that you can add to your game's camera to make the difference between the dark and light a bit more prominent. What it actually does is it takes all the pixels in your game and analyzes them, and all the dark pixels on the light pixels, and whenever there's a real contrast, it adds a bit of a glow. So if you are at night with a torch, you see that sort of halo around it. That's basically bloom lighting. And I'm going to show you how the bloom lighting works. It's a post-processing volume that you add. There's a few other things I have there called vignette and lens distortion, color grading, chromatic aberration, different things for, say, there's a certain particle explosion that comes up and it makes the screen appear all distorted and color shifting and so on. That's what the post-processing stuff does, and that's a fairly new feature to Unity, which is really powerful. But the one I wanted to show you today is bloom. Now, if we have a look right now at the level without bloom, you shall see any second. Pause the that. All right, so this is bloom off, and that's how you're used to seeing the game. But if we turn bloom on, look at the moon. Watch this. Now notice when I go behind things, it adds a subtle glow. So adding a glow to my weapon, and see that glow around the golden egg. See, bloom off, bloom on. I think it adds a really nice impact, and you can actually really turn that right up if you wanted to. Look at that, look how much everything glows. That's way too much, but you know, I had it on about 10, which is good. And I have different settings for daytime and nighttime because you don't want too much bloom on a daytime setting. You can also lower the threshold for what bloom when it kicks in. This is what my buddy John Stayskull, the game developer, likes to call Vaseline lens. That's kind of funny because look at that. And that's ridiculous. That basically says kick in the bloom when the pixels are dark and light ratio is a certain threshold. And you can change the color of the bloom to make it like an evil red glow if you wanted, or a blue, deep blue, yellow, make everything appear yellow, green, but we're not going to do that. We're going to leave that as it is. One other thing I wanted to show you is, see here, and I'll zoom in on this. See this brick that kind of pulses? That is a homage to Castlevania's secret tiles that had food in them, things like chicken dinners. So if I hit this, oh, what's that? A block of chocolate. I found some food, chocolate, and that will heal you. We do it again, you'll probably get a different food. There's 10 different foods you can find that all will heal your character. So do it again. Banana. And they're just useful things that if you know you spot them and you need some food, grab them. So I'm going to turn that bloom back on by default. The other thing I wanted to show you is some enemies now can block your attacks. So if we have a look at this guy here, he can jump past you, attack you, and sometimes he'll block. He didn't that time, but they have a chance to use a shield block, which is kind of cool. The basic enemies very rarely use it, but see, he's using what there. Even didn't save him though. And that just is a kind of cool sort of, there you go, blocking. See, he blocks, block, but you won't block more than a couple of attacks. The more dangerous enemies like the legionnaires and so on will block your attacks, making for a much more challenging fight. Well, the other thing is checkpoints. That's quite a nice bloom on the checkpoint there. If I turn that off and on, notice the difference. I don't know if I showed you this in a previous video, but if you go to a checkpoint and, you know, the checkpoint, so if I die now, basically I'll reappear at the checkpoint. Everyone knows how that works, but you can actually choose to destroy the checkpoint like this. Hit it a couple of times, bam. There's a little lens distortion on that when it happened. It's subtle, but the whole screen, that was from the post-processing effect. But now we got a bunch of treasure from that, great. But if I die, watch what happens. Right back at the beginning of the level. So that's the risk reward thing. And I actually got that from Hollow Knight, which is a pretty cool game that I played on the Switch. And they had the checkpoint system that you could destroy the checkpoints and at your own peril. And I thought that was a great idea, and I decided to borrow that for this game. I wanted to show you a little bit of the first boss battle. Just a little bit of the introduction, because the fight itself isn't programmed properly yet. But spoilers, look away now if you want to be surprised by the game. First of all, bookshelves in the game now. So you've got a book. Once you've got a book, some information about Spartacus' life comes up. You can hide that by using your block. And there's 20 different book chapters to find as you go through the game. There might be more if I do more levels. Anyway, we descend the stairs. And this is the kind of scary boss battle. As we approach, we'll see, there he is. Glaber, the first boss. And this is one of the centurions who you fight. And there's a little 3 panel cutscene where they exchange pleasantries before battle. And then the battle will actually begin, of course. So the camera zooms out and then it zooms back in. There's no actual boss fight to be had. He's walking away from us. But that boss battle will be pretty cool, and I'll be programming that in at some point. There's a few other cutscenes in the game that you can reach when you reunite with your men up top of Vesuvius, when you fight Glaber, and a few other points in the game, just to add some flavor text to the game. Once you defeat Glaber, you actually end up at an aqueduct, and I wanted to show you this. This is the boat. Now, the boat has on it, it's a moving platform, so we'll go check that out. Under the props, moving platforms, moving boat. There's a few of them actually, but it's made up of a few things. There's a flag, a pole that sits behind you, and some particles. These little bubbles which appear, which are, they don't look like they're moving that fast now, but because the boat is actually moving, they will scroll with the level. So watch this. When we fire up the level, we have, of course, the old zip line, which you might have seen in a very early video. That's in this level. Ooh. You can drop down an enemy, knock him off like that. And if I... actually, one other thing I want to show you. We might be able to randomly get a new weapon. Oh no, it's just a dagger. You can take the top road like this along the aqueduct which is being built and do battle with the many enemies there. Whoa. Or you can go down. If you go down the beginning of the level, you can land on a boat and see there's the bubble particles there. Excuse me. Bubble particles. You can take the boat along and it's a pretty leisurely journey. You can climb back up, or you can, dodge things like that, but it gets more challenging. So there are many. Well, I'm dead. Get back to life. That's a bug. That's a weird bug. Always in these videos is a bug that shows up that I gotta fix. But yeah, two paths to take, the upper path and lower path, and a lot of the levels have multiple ways of finishing them, which I think is kind of cool. And the last thing I wanted to show you for this video was the mines tile set. So this is a new tile set that haven't unveiled yet, unless you were on Reddit yesterday, which I put a video up on. But this is pretty cool. This has a whole bunch of new art assets and so on, including a elevator lift. So check this out. We're going to jump on the lift and it will start descending. If I wait here, the lift will wait for us, but watch this. Enemies will appear and they'll fall down and we have to fight them along the way. And then every 5 seconds or so a new enemy appears, and so you have to try and take them down before the next one appears, and they get progressively tougher and more challenging. You can also jump off and get treasure as you go, or special weapons and things. There is healing potion, but there's like a legionnaire there has appeared and he's tougher and he's blocking us. Now there's a sword guy and a legionnaire, knife guy, sorry. Whoa, checkpoint, we want to get that checkpoint. And this is a really long mine shaft. The whole thing goes for quite a long time, and the battles get really hectic after a while. There's a book you can read, but we don't really want to read that right now. Anyway, whoa, bugged out. So that is a pretty cool area, and I'll show you that scene. This is the mine shaft. Look at this. It's huge. Zoom right out. It's a big level, that one, right down at the bottom. So that one takes quite a few minutes to descend, 2 or 3 minutes at least. And after that, I'll be working on more mines tile sets. And the next video I'll probably will show you some, I'm not 100% certain if I'll do this, but there may be upgradable items in the game. Still working out if I want to do that. I don't know when this game is going to be finished. I thought it would be done by Christmas, but I still think it might be a little after that, because I've still got about 8 levels to build in the game, and the hell variations or the Hades variations of them, which are sort of tougher, underworld variations. And there's still some boss battle stuff to do, a bunch of bug fixes. I still have no sound and no music in the game, and a lot still to do. So I don't know if Christmas is a likely deadline. We'll see. But the game is on Steam now, as far as you can wishlist it on Steam. So if you want to do that, I would really appreciate it. If you jump on Steam and give the game a wishlist, it really helps with discoverability, and I would be most grateful to you. So anyway, thank you for watching the video. I know these things become more and more infrequent as I'm working on the game. I just want to knuckle down and get stuff done, but it's also important to show you guys progress. Thank you to all my Patreons and everyone on the Discord channel, and everyone that supported this game via comments and things like that. I'm looking forward to bringing it out to you and showing you more in the future. Have a great week, everybody, and bye for now.